Hello and welcome back to the channel. We've got some more GAA coverage, this time covering the football, the final round of National Football League fixtures. I'm back with Conor and McKenna. So Conor, did you watch much of the football at the weekend?
Yeah, well, I was glued to it all weekend, all the games. So you saw plenty of action and plenty to discuss.
Happy days, happy days. That's what we like to hear. So we'll go straight in then to Division One, where the big thing, the big the important stuff was settled on Saturday in quite some fashion actually, with Kerry running out winners against Donegal 2-18 to 10 points, which meant that sort of made the Dublin and Galway game a dead rubber. But what did you think of Kerry? Do you think they sent out a bit of a message?
Yeah, Kerry, I suppose that was the bottom line for them was to win the match and win the league. Donegal had nothing to play for. It was an 800-kilometre round trip to Kerry. They needed to win the match, and mathematically they needed a draw in Dublin and Galway to win the league. But I don't think they were too bothered about the league, to be honest with you. I think that they were just hoping to have no injuries before they play Tyrone next week, and I think that's kind of what did transpire. So Donegal didn't really probably bring a whole pile of intensity to the game, while Kerry, on the other hand, they wanted to win the league at home side, get a trophy under the belt, win the league title, and build for the championship, and they got that done in with no messing about. It was 2-18 to 10 points, and like Owen Bon Gallagher, Neil McGee, Ryan McHugh, Michael Murphy, Paul Brennan, all those lads started against Tyrone, and they didn't even travel down to Austin Stack Park. So no, a very, very good win for Kerry, and it was as expected, really.
I caught a wee bit of this one. I thought that I think it was Gavin White scored a very good goal. It was certainly one that he'll remember.
Yeah, great goal from Gavin White, and he actually took two hops. Would you believe in the build up to it? So he was lucky the goal was allowed, but he couldn't deny him the goal after that. It was a super finish from White. And look, Kerry have absolutely fantastic players all around the pitch. Like David Clifford, Sean O'Shea probably stand out, but David Moran's a great player. Like Paul Ganey and James Dunnu have to come back as well. So Kerry have absolutely no problems with squad depth. Stephen O'Brien as well as a super player came off the bench yesterday. Like, and Tony Brosnan's playing great football. Like I just think the Kerry team is absolutely serious at the moment, and they'll take some stuff in this year sort of.
Okay, so obviously Galway and Dublin won the game 2-15 to 15 points, but it was because Kerry won. It was essentially a dead rubber. But what way did the teams line out in that one? Was there did the lineups change late, or did they play a bit of sort of second level teams or anything?
I think that both teams really had fairly strong lines. Like Dublin had all their big guys out. Stephen Cluxton playing, Brian Fenton was playing, Conor Callahan, Kieran Kilkenny, Dean Rock. Like, so I think that both sides kind of, like, the Galway were missing a few lads. Shane Walsh came on a half time, and Gary's side, like, Walsh is their star player. But no, I think both sides they kind of treated it as a championship warm up, which is really what it was. And Dublin won by 6 points, and that was a big enough win for Dublin, like, to win the match. Okay, it was dead rubber, but they're coming in off like having 10 points in the league, and like they had no challenge games. I don't think Dublin was quoted saying after the match, and Paddy Small stood out for Dublin yesterday when he came in. He scored 4 points in play. Like, so Dublin, they would have took something out of the game yesterday. I suppose they hadn't really had a great league, but they're kind of probably coming good at the right time, and they did. They're going for 6 in a row, and like, they certainly will not relinquish their title easily. So they won't. Dublin and Galway were absolutely flying it before the lockdown. The break has come at the wrong time for Pádraig Joyce and his side, but Paul Conroy had a good game yesterday. He scored 8 points, and he's back from a serious injury. So Galway Galway, they probably not going as strong as they were before the lockdown, to be with truth be told. But they have Sligo in the first round of Connacht. They'll definitely overcome Sligo, I'd imagine. So they'll be in a Connacht final, and then so all of a sudden they're 3 games away from winning in Ireland. So look, it's Dublin probably slightly more impressive yesterday, and they'll be pleased with the 6 point win. But there wasn't a whole lot at stake, to be honest with you.
So there was a bit to play for at the other end of the table with Tyrone, Monaghan, Mayo, possibly all potentially relegated alongside Meath, who had already gone. So Meath got a draw against Monaghan 2-14 to 1-17, which sort of meant that the winners of Mayo and Tyrone would stay up, and in the end Tyrone came through that 1-19 for Mayo and 3-14 for Tyrone. It seemed for a long time that it was going to be fairly comfortable that Mayo were going down, and then they seemed to get a bit of a late rally and put a wee bit of pressure on Tyrone, but they overcome that. So what did you make of Mayo being relegated?
Yeah, with a pity this game wasn't the live game on telly that it was instead because there would have been a much better game than Dublin Galway. But I think Mayo, it nearly could be a blessing in disguise. Not getting relegated. Now, there's no joy in being relegated. They lost by a point, but they scored 119. I think they kind of set up in a very attacking manner. They didn't really leave any men back or anything. So they kind of, I think they were looking towards the championship. I don't think Mayo were under a huge. I don't think they were really going. Like obviously they would have loved to win the match and they'd be devastated to get relegated. But I think they're really, really focused on 2020 championship. And okay, they should beat Leitrim in the first round, but they have to play Roscommon, Galway, and then a Munster team, and then another team in Ireland final. So they have they have four very, very tricky games if they're going to win in All Ireland like they do, and they really, really want to win in All Ireland. Like so, they're playing Leitrim next weekend. I think that was definitely their focus. Now they really wanted to beat Tyrone, but I think Tyrone again they're playing Donegal next week. But it would have been a disaster for either team to lose. And my namesake is playing flying football for Tyrone. He looks like a star player, and he could nearly be as good a player as David Clifford. Well, that's what I'm hearing anyway with the hype. Now he's certainly delivered in the first two matches back. A lot of people wouldn't have seen him play, but if you look at that AFL, very, very, very few Irish players. An awful lot of them go out there. Very, very few of them make as many appearances as Conor McKenna, my namesake, has made. But like Tyrone has certainly have talent within their ranks. But it was a very good game yesterday. The two teams looked good, and Tyrone bounced back well from losing to Donegal, and they'll be very, very happy to come out there with a 1-point win and their safety intact.
And talk about Conor McKenna. So a lot of the media seems to be talking about him. I think is it 2 goals in 2 games, and then they're also talking about Canavan Jr. Dara Canavan was fun. I think there's high expectations on him following in the footsteps of his father Peter. So it'll be interesting to see what comes from Tyrone over the next few while. Obviously, Mickey Hart's been there for a long, long time now, and he's good. I think he's three All Irelands. I think it is they have, but it sort of feels like over the last decade they have fallen a wee bit behind. Some of our counties they seem to struggle a wee bit with Donegal at times, and obviously Dublin. But it'll be interesting to see what Tyrone bring, and obviously Division 1 football. Probably Tyrone are one of the counties that will take that seriously. They really wouldn't want to get relegated out of the top division. I know Mickey Hart just does not like losing anything. So it'll be interesting to see moving forward what Tyrone have.
Yeah,
so
without the other match there, just to briefly, just Monaghan Meath there yesterday. Monaghan got the point. Now, look, they were well ahead. They looked like they were going to win the match very easily, but Meath kept battling. Meath are showing an awful lot of spirit in their last 2 games, and they're already relegated, but they didn't play like that. They played like they wanted to win the match yesterday, and Monaghan got the draw. Look, they got out of jail. They would have taken a point, I suppose, before the game. It would have kept them up, but they weren't fantastic, and they're playing Cavan in the first round of Ulster this weekend. They'll have to improve an awful lot, but Monaghan, they came up in 2014 with Donegal, and they haven't dropped down since. And I think that is just an absolutely serious record, because a lot of teams get to Division 1 and they come straight back down. And for Monaghan to be lasting 7 straight years in Division 1 is a serious achievement, and it's nothing to be sneezed at all. Like, it's not, because Donegal have come down, Tyrone have come down as well, like other teams have come down. Like, it's just Monaghan seem to they really, really punch above their weight in the football, and they absolutely have business being in Division 1. And although they weren't great yesterday, that is a very, very impressive record.
Okay, so moving down into Division 2, it's coming into the weekend, like it would have been enough to give you some serious headaches about what was going to happen with all the different possible outcomes. So in the end, the 2 teams that were starting in first and second done what they had to do and went up. So Roscommon and Armagh are Division 1 next season, and in the relegation places, Laois managed to get themselves out of it, and Cavan went down, which Cavan, I believe, they went down for because of the head-to-head. I think it was with Clare. So did you sort of see that outcome, or what do you make of what happened in those games?
I could have seen it coming, to be honest, Gerry, beforehand, but I think that I'd be very, very worried from a Cavan perspective, because they were in Division 1 last year, competed relatively well. Like, they didn't get disgraced in Division 1 by any means, and now they're in Division 3. And like Roscommon were missing an awful lot of players yesterday due to COVID, and their manager wasn't available either, and they had nothing really to play for. And Cavan still lost the game and got relegated. Like, so I'd be worried from a Cavan perspective that they have to bounce back before they play Monaghan this weekend, or it could be an ugly outcome for a Breffni perspective. But Roscommon are league champions, and again, they really, really always, they're a very, very consistent side. Roscommon, okay, they might come down in Division 1, but they don't come down without learning a few things, and they really, like last year they came down, and in 2017 they got relegated, but on both occasions they used it as a platform for their championship, and they went and won a Connacht championship. So Roscommon really, really are a consistent team, and they'd be absolutely thrilled with the strength and depth yesterday. They could have won that, or on Saturday they could have won that game. And then just going through the other games, then Laois and Fermanagh, like Laois were not great. Like the Laois were very, very poor for a large part of the game. In the 67th minute, they were 5 points down. Fermanagh, they had a man sent off, and Fermanagh were looking very, very comfortable. And Laois got 3-3 in a few minutes and stayed up just about. But like Laois, the captain is suspended now. Like Kieran Lillis, if that's I don't know was it a straight red card or not, but if it's a straight red card, he's suspended. I think it might have been 2 yellow cards actually. But like Laois, they should have. They're not going fantastic now, and they're playing Longford or Louth and Leinster, and the winners are playing Dublin. Like, so you'd be half worried from a Laois perspective, but I suppose they got the win. They're in Division 2, and when you go up, that's all you really want to do. And then just going through the other games, Armagh had to be cleared to get promoted. If they had beaten Clare, then we're talking about headaches. The headaches weren't really there at the top because Armagh had won that match, and they were well ahead at the start. But then Clare came right back into it. But Armagh just about had that much quality. But Clare, if they had won that game, would have been promoted. And when they lost, they could easily have been relegated. But Roscommon and Westmeath actually did them a big favour by Roscommon winning and Westmeath losing. But Clare just about stayed in Division 2, and again, that's a bit like Monaghan. That's a serious record for them. They came up in 2016 and they've stayed there now. This will be their fifth consecutive season in Division 2 next year. So they are playing Tipperary next Sunday in the Munster Championship. So they have a lot to play for as well. And Armagh likewise. I'd say Armagh's goal at the start of the year was to get up to Division 1, and that was a bonus. But they're playing Derry next weekend, and Derry Armagh could be one of the games of the weekend next weekend when we're doing the preview show. And then just the other game, my own county Westmeath, if they have won against Kildare away, they had a chance of getting promoted. If Kildare had lost, they had a serious chance of getting relegated. But Kildare produced a big performance and they won the game. And Kildare ended up on 8 points, and they lost by a point down in Ennis against Clare in February. And if they had won that game, they would have been promoted. So Kildare are not too far away from getting promoted. So yeah, the Division 2 games this weekend were very, very good. So they were.
Yeah, there was certainly plenty of entertainment, and as you say, there was late drama with Laois, turning things around so late. Drama probably wasn't so much in Division 3. We already knew before the games began that Cork and Down were promoted, with the Longford and Cork game being called off, and Leitrim were the team that had the pressure on them, needing to get something to possibly save themselves, but they were unable to do so. Tipperary beating them 2-11 to 15 points. The other results in that division: Derry 112, Offaly 110, win for Derry, and Louth got their first win of the campaign against promoted Down, 3-14 to 16 points. So even that Louth and Down game, did Down make a few changes or?
Yeah, Down made a few changes. They were promoted regardless, although Derry might not be too pleased, because if Longford had played against Cork and Longford had won the game, as results transpired, if Longford had won by 10 points, they could have been promoted. But if Longford had won by 1 point, Derry would have been promoted. Now, truth be told, if Cork had played Longford, Cork probably would have won the game, so it mightn't have made any difference at all. And Down might put out a stronger team and bet loud. But still, like that, I don't know, is it the right thing to be doing, giving walkovers, to be honest. But Derry are after having 2 wins in their last 2 games now, and like Derry have built up a bit of momentum in the last 2 weeks. And Gallagher is a very, very good coach, is Rory Gallagher. Like, so they're coming in Armagh now with big momentum next week, and they'd be very, very hard beaten, so they will. And okay, they didn't get promoted in Division 3, but they only really missed out in head-to-head, so they have a lot of promised potential to take from last year. They played Leitrim in the first round, and they couldn't win that match. If they won that match, they would have got promoted. So look, Derry are definitely a team that's coming, and I think they'll be in Division 2 in the near future. But yeah, Cork and Down got promoted. Down are up in Division 2 now, and that's where Down probably wanted to be. They probably should have got there last year. They only missed out on scoring difference. But this year now they did the job, and look, they won't care about how they got promoted. And Cork finishing 14 points, and they're deserving champions. And then Leitrim, I was disappointed that they didn't go to Down last week, to be honest with you, but they got relegated this week, and now they'll be in Division 4 after a very, very brief stay in Division 3, and they'll be joined by Louth in Division 4.
Okay, and on Division 4 then, Wicklow followed up the big win against Antrim by a win in the promotion decider to go up ahead of Wexford, 13 points to 10 points. Wicklow winning that one. Antrim and Waterford. Antrim, we'll talk about that game in a minute because it sort of seemed to be a bit random how it all happened with Waterford pulling out of it and then Antrim offering to play them in Dundalk, which Antrim in the end won 2-14 and 13. The Waterford, and in the other game then that really made a big difference was Sligo and Limerick. Limerick won 116 to 114, which I believe made Limerick the champions of Division 4 on head to head against Wicklow. So what did you make of how those games transpired?
Well, Billy Lee in Limerick is a great football man, and they had won their first 4 games, and they had 2 bad defeats in the last 2. One back in March and one on Saturday. But they needed to win in Sligo, and they were 8 points up at half time, and they just about held out for a 2-point win. But they'll be absolutely thrilled to get back up to Division 3 because Division 4 is the basement, and it's not really where you want to be long term as a county. Then Wicklow, Davy Burke is a serious manager. Like, he managed Kildare under 20s to win All Ireland in 2018. Went to manage Sarsfields last year, won a Kildare championship, and now he's gone to Wicklow and he's got them promoted in Division 4. And again, they're a county who were long term in Division 4, so it was probably semi-disastrous for them to be down there, but they've come back up now, and both those counties now, the only way is really up when you get to Division 4. And Antrim footballers, you mentioned, there against Waterford, it was very, very disappointing for Waterford that they wouldn't go to the north to play the match, that they ended up having to go to Dundalk. I think it's not good, it's not that for the GAA. Like, Antrim, and I have to say, Sean Kelly Antrim, he really an absolute gentleman, and he won the Antrim won the battle this weekend. Like, they really did the right thing. Lenny Harvinson, a real gentleman as well, and like Antrim did the right thing. They wanted to play the game. If they had got a walkover, they could have got promoted. Now, they wouldn't have had it just transpire, but it wouldn't have been good for them to get promoted with by default. So, okay, while they've lost the battle in the sense that they didn't get promoted from Division 4, they've shown themselves to have done the right thing by playing the match, and they've got the win, which will help give them a bit of momentum in the championship. So I think Antrim, they're definitely in a better position this week than they were last week. On paper, a 7-point win was probably expected, and Antrim, they can take a lot of positive in the league. Okay, they didn't get promoted, but they definitely made progress, and next year now the target for Antrim has to be definitely getting to Division 3.
Okay, just to sort of on that Antrim and Waterford situation. Obviously the way it worked out, Waterford withdrew from the game, and then Antrim. What did you think of Antrim's statement? Did you think Antrim there was almost like a wee bit was it a wee bit cheeky the way they sort of went about it, or do you think it was was there an element of class? Like, personally, like, I'm from Antrim, and there was a wee bit of it I thought was a wee bit cheeky the way they went about it, but obviously they're 2 weeks away from the championship, so getting a game under their belts was probably the main reason for this. But what did you think of it?
No, I didn't think it was cheeky, to be honest. I think that Waterford said that they couldn't play the match in the north because employers had given them instructions that they would have to restrict their movements on arriving. So the employers had put them under pressure. Waterford said they couldn't play the match in the north. So Antrim actually initially offered to move the match from Port Glenone to Belfast, which would have given Waterford much less of a trek, but that wasn't enough. Waterford still wouldn't go to Belfast. So said, well, okay, we'll play it in Dundalk then on the border, and that's how it transpired. They gave a solution. Waterford went to Dundalk, played the match, and no, I think Antrim, they definitely did the right thing by offering to move it, because they had tried a solution in Belfast, that didn't work, so they went for the next outcome, which was to play it maybe just south of the border, and they got the win anyway. But no, I think Antrim definitely came out with that with their heads intact.
I think it would be interesting to see what the fans and that would have been saying if they played that game, Antrim lost, and Sligo beat Limerick, and it ultimately cost Antrim a place in Division 3. It would have certainly been a few there have been a few people banging their heads off the wall about that one, but in the end, obviously, it didn't make any difference. So that is the National League done. Obviously, quite intriguing. A lot of the divisions, Division 2 in particular, was a lot of fun getting into the last weekend. So later in the week, I'm hoping you're going to join me, and we'll talk about the football championship getting underway at the weekend. Obviously with the COVID situation, we're playing it over a limited amount of weeks. So I've already been looking at the fixtures, and there's a real feast of games. Like some of the championships there, I've got 2 and 3 games and stuff on. So it's certainly one for coming into the winter and one for the sofa at the weekend. So I'm looking forward to that. So if you'll join me later in the week, we'll be back with that.
Yeah, hopefully next time I join Gerry, you won't have the bragging rights with Antrim beating Westmeath.
I wasn't even going to mention
it. thanks for having me, Gerry, and I look forward to joining you later in the week.
That's brilliant. Thanks very much, Conor, and thanks to everybody watching. And if you can hit like, subscribe, follow. I know that we over all the different places we published last week. The numbers were quite good. So I was quite happy with that. So definitely join us again. And as I say, we'll be back later in the week with the fixtures. So thanks for having us.